What up, what up, what up? Hi everybody, I'm Christy. Thanks for tuning in and for your time. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that most of you are probably watching this video because you have either just recently gotten out of a narcissistic relationship, possibly currently still involved with the narcissist, or have a parent or sibling that is the narcissist in your life. Regardless of whom the involvement is with, this relationship has probably left you feeling like, well, like shit, to put it in a nutshell. You're exhausted. You're exhausted to a point of exhaustion that you didn't even know existed. You are exhausted in every essence of the word, emotionally, physically, and mentally. You feel alone. You feel like nobody understands. Hell, you're not even sure if you understand half the time. You're uncertain as to what's true and what's false. Your reality is all sorts of distorted. And most of the time, you're treated as if you're the scum of the earth, and no matter what you do, your best efforts never seem to be enough. You feel trapped. You feel depleted. You feel empty. You have no idea how the hell you got here. I mean, like, how did it even get to this point? And even worse, you have no clue how to escape this living nightmare that has somehow become your life. The confidence you once had has been ripped from your body, beaten to the ground, and often you feel like giving up. As a survivor of 19 years of narcissistic abuse, I know firsthand what the involvement with a narcissist does to one's mind, body, and spirit. Having zero to little confidence is a major struggle and a huge concern for so many survivors. If this sounds similar to your situation, then I suggest you pull up a chair, get relaxed, and stay tuned in till the end, because this may be the most important thing you as a survivor are ever going to hear. It was actually through the indirect request, if you will, from other fellow survivors that actually made me decide to do this video in the first place. By indirect request, I'm referring to the comments I have been receiving from my videos as well as through support groups that I am part of. Comments from other survivors commending me on my confidence, my courage, and my passion to raise awareness about narcissistic abuse. These comments have left me both flattered and, well, brokenhearted. Now, I do genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate all of the kind words and support. And I can humbly and happily say that I agree with you. I am brave. I am confident, and I am most definitely passionate about raising awareness, educating others, and supporting the survivors of narcissistic abuse. However, that wasn't always exactly the case. And believe you me, I still have my moments. I mean, I am not Superwoman. I am not a robot. And, you know, there are times when my Cptsd, well, it gets the better of me. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay because I have accepted the fact that there are things out there that are going to trigger me. I have accepted the fact that I can't undo the past that brought about these triggers in the first place. It's okay if I take a step backwards, if I go off course or fall down, if you will. It's okay as long as eventually I remember to pick myself back up, brush myself off, put one foot in front of the other, and don't give up. Some days it takes longer than others to be able to do this. Some days I have to do it multiple times a day. But regardless of how bad the Cptsd decides to rear its ugly head, eventually I remind myself of who I am. I remind myself of what I am capable of and what I have overcome. I remind myself that I am a badass woman and that I am enough. And guess what? So are each and every one of you. You see, all battles are first won or lost in the mind. It is one's mindset that ultimately determines the outcome of anything you do in life. Now, yes, granted, there are other things that will come into play to help determine the outcome of any particular situation, but it is your mindset that is the determinant factor of what will make you or what will break you. And guess what? Nobody knows this better than, well, the narcissist. The narcissist uses this very thing to gain their advantage. They use this very thing to string you along and keep you from leaving the relationship. In fact, it's one of their key moves in their sick little game of master of the puppets. From the very beginning of the relationship, long before you even realize what's happening, the narcissist is using manipulation tactics and mind games in which to alter, contort, and confuse your once positive, optimistic mind. They strategically will do anything and everything in order to negatively affect your mindset. They do this knowing that if they are successful over time, it will, in fact, break. So now what? Now, how do you flip the script and positively enhance your mindset or build up your confidence if they have already contorted your ways of thinking and altered your reality as you once knew it? Well, first and foremost, you need to accept that they are what they are. You need to stop trying to find any shred of evidence which could possibly support another alternative to their behavior. You have to accept that no amount of therapy, no amount of trying harder or doing more is ever going to fix them. You have to stop making excuses as to why you can't leave them. Because, well, let's be real, we all do it. Whether it be the kids or the house, or you'd be damned if you're going to lose all you've ever worked so hard for. They're all just excuses. I know you don't want to hear it, but they are. They are excuses we use in efforts to justify it to ourselves and to others. Excuses we create to avoid facing the reality of the situation, to avoid the shame we feel for being fooled and for being played, to avoid admitting out loud that they never loved us because they aren't capable of love, to avoid dealing with the betrayal, the deceit, and the pathological lies we know deep down they have been telling us day in and day out. Excuses to avoid the truth of the matter because we just can't bear the thought of how much pain facing this reality may bring. You have to accept this, all of this. You have to accept it for what it is. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with or have probably heard the Serenity Prayer before, and though, yes, it is often used by recoveries for alcoholics or addicts, it also can really apply to this situation as well. And if you aren't familiar with it, then I highly recommend learning it and maybe, making a copy of it and, just kind of like a little reminder. So the saying goes, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You can't change who they are. You can't change or undo the past and what's been done to you. However, you absolutely can change your mindset. You absolutely can take back the control and be in charge of your thoughts and of your behaviors. In order to do so, though, you have to let go of the limited beliefs that the narcissist has been feeding into your psyche. You also have to get out of your own way. You have to stop thinking and saying you can't. You have to stop wishing you were as brave as or as strong as. You have to stop hoping that maybe some counselor or knight in shining armor, whomever, is going to come along and fix you. You have to get out of your own way, and you have to start acting. You have to start believing. You have to start doing. Going forward, from this day on, you are no longer a narcissistic abuse victim. You are a survivor. You are the person who got trapped in a forest fire and made it out alive. Yeah, you probably endured some burns along the way, but you didn't succumb to the smoke and the roaring flames. You're the kid who was tossed into the river and didn't know how to swim, yet somehow managed to find his way over to the river's bank. You're the girl who found herself in a free fall, yet somehow didn't break upon impact of the landing. You are now a survivor. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is going to be easy. It's not easy. It's going to be a daily struggle for you to push aside those negative thoughts, those negative voices that are lingering inside your brain, those little whispers dancing around inside of your thoughts that the narcissist has strategically implanted in there just for moments like this, moments when you may find some courage. It's going to take everything you have some days to dig deep, to stay in control, and to consciously overpower these subconscious thoughts that your mind has now become familiar. And in these times, it is crucial that you remember who you are. You remember who you are, that you are enough, that you are always enough, and that you deserve so much more. The day I remembered who I was came only second to not even being able to recognize the person in the mirror staring back at me. I had been walking across the family room as I had done, I don't know, a million times before. And about halfway across the room, I glanced up and looked into the mirror that was then hanging above my couch. I froze dead in my tracks, completely taken off guard, and I stood there staring at this stranger in the reflection. I stood there and I stared at this girl who was so withdrawn. She looked so tired, so sad, so alone. She seemed scared. It was as if the soul had been taken from her body and the light drained from her eyes. I continued to stare for several more minutes as I just couldn't even to be able to peel my eyes off of that girl in the mirror, that stranger. And then before I knew it, I broke down into tears. I cried and I screamed and I kicked and I moaned and I cried some more, and I begged God to tell me how this could happen. How in the world could that girl be me? I can't exactly tell you how long I was on that floor crying and screaming and kicking and begging God for answers, but eventually at some point I picked myself up and I walked across the floor, kneeled on that couch, and I looked at that stranger, that girl, dead in the eyes. And out of nowhere, this whisper of "I'm sorry" comes off my lips. And, with that naturally came more tears. And, well, probably about 40 to 50 more "I'm sorries." And I guess somewhere between, the 49th and 50th apology, I remembered who I was. I remembered who I was and that I deserved better than this. And once I remembered who I was, well, that's when the game changed. It changed because I had changed my mindset. From that day forward, I have reminded myself every day of who I am. And for those days that, it's a little harder to do or takes a little longer to remember, I printed out inspirational quotes and words of affirmation, and I hung them all over the house just in case I, needed a little extra reminding. And then alongside of this, I began doing things to build my confidence. I began doing things to prove to myself that I could survive without him. I taught myself how to do electrical work, how to do plumbing, how to do various renovations throughout the house, how to use all sorts of power tools, how to frame windows, and eventually Before I knew it, I was building farm tables and mirrors and benches. I taught myself many, many things, and I did these things using nothing but my own two hands. And let me tell you, there's not many other things in this world that can boost your confidence quite like accomplishing something, achieving something that you've done with your own two hands, dependent upon nobody else but yourself. Now look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you all need to run out there and start learning how to do electrical work and plumbing and making farm tables. I mean, it's awesome if you do. However, it doesn't matter what you do. It's doing it and depending upon nobody but yourself. It's doing it with your own two hands. Whether it's teach yourself how to play an instrument that you've always wanted to play, or bake a cake that you think is like out of this world, or knit a blanket, design the next spacecraft if that's what you desire. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you do. It's that you do it, and you do it to prove it to nobody but yourself that you can, that you're capable, that you don't have to depend on anybody but yourself. And once you've accomplished that, pick another and accomplish that too. Just stay positive and know that you can't fail. You either accomplish it, you achieve it, or you learn from your mistakes. Trial and error, and the next time you do it differently. If you do this, before you know it, your confidence will be greater than you will ever be able to have believed that it could be. And I can say that with my utmost sincerity because I have been in your shoes. Lacked greatly in confidence. I am no braver, I am no stronger, and I am no wiser than any of you out there. And if I can do it, you better bet your goddamn ass that you can do it too. I know you can. I know you can. You need to believe it, because what you believe is what you will be. What you say you are, you will become. So believe in yourself and take back the control. Accept the fact that you will never change them. You will never fix them. You will never save them. Start focusing on the things that you can change, that you can save. You want to save somebody? Go save that person staring back at you in the mirror, because that person is the most important person you will ever meet in your entire life. And they need you. They need you, and they deserve so much more. Don't ever stop reminding yourself of this. And don't ever stop reminding yourself of who you are. All right. God bless. Peace, people.